Hiya, and welcome back to Home Somewhere Else, the game that teaches us that, like, in every single video game in existence, if there is an insect somewhere, you might want to follow them because they're probably going to be important to the story. Anyways, there's something that I gotta do real quick because I don't know if it's still there. Yeah, explicit content is disabled. Anyways, let's just hop right in. You let out a sigh and begin to follow him. He bounces when he notices you're finally coming, then spins around and resumes leading you away. You realize that this is actually the first time you've seen his back, and your eyes trail down his form until they... Oh my god. Until they land on his butt. Oh yeah, I feel like I should mention this. I'm literally... Nah, never mind. Has he been naked this whole time? How did I not notice? Well... Maybe it's normal for creatures like him to not wear clothes out in the wild? Or maybe he went through the same things I did. No use thinking about that, Chad. You shake the thought away with a small sigh and continue to walk back the way you came, this time with a big moth as opposed to a small one, though no matter how hard you try, you cannot stop noticing how naked he is. Inevitably, your eyes scan him and you admire his attributes. His big, broad shoulders, that firm, muscular back and thighs, strong, fluffy arms that are perfect for hugging, and that butt. You snap your gaze forcefully away, peering off into the distance past Mothok as your face glows red, while he continues to trot along, none the wiser to your lecherous stare, and seemingly completely oblivious to his nudity. After a moment, though, he does look back at you. And you instinctively flinch as... Hiya! And you instinctively flinch as you realize you're caught, making your face burn even hotter from embarrassment. Yeah, no, I guess, like, whenever an update releases, we play that, and, like, Hiya. I guess older games take priority over... Like, older ones that have been played and are still in development take priority over those that... Over ones that we just started. So, yeah. Or maybe it's just secondhand embarrassment. You know, from him being naked, and completely unbothered by showing off his body. Either way, just to be safe, you pick up your pace to catch up to him, walking with him side by side. So, what brought you here? All alone in the middle of the forest? He merely shrugs in response. Oh. So, you're out here just because? He nods. So nice. Okay. Well, do you have a home here? In Marimabo? He shakes his head, then turns his attention back to the path instead. To the path ahead. Do you... Before you can finish asking another question, he suddenly dashes off ahead of you, his big wings fluttering in the breeze behind him as he runs. Hey, wait up! You rush after him, your legs quickly beginning to scream at you from... overworked throughout the day. Yo, is there, like, something going wrong with, like, the thing? It doesn't look like it. There isn't! Chad, shave the face. Your internet sucks because your dog bit the wife of your internet. Ah. No! No, don't make those jokes! It's similar jokes to that why I got suspended from TikTok Live. Thankfully, you only run for a little bit, returning to the place where you crash landed before. Still, though, you're out of breath, bending over and putting your hands on your knees. Mothok turns around to face you and points back up the hill. You're sure that's the way down the mountain? He nods, excitedly, and then puts a pair of hands on his hips, standing there before you, brimming with confidence. Still very much naked. Chad be like right now. He's only staring in a he's only respectfully staring in a disrespectful manner. Your eyes quickly snap to the ground in front of you to avoid any more unfortunate second-hand embarrassment. Okay, if you say so, Mothawk. You take a deep breath before standing back up, walking over to his side and peering back up the steep slope. But, how do you figure we're going to get up there? He brings a hand to his chin again, pondering this new problem. Actually, I'd imagine it'd be no problem for you. With wings like that, I bet you can fly no sweat. At least, I think they're wings. They look like it. He slowly shakes his head, deflating a bit from your question. Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have assumed. Oh, sorry. Well, the VOD will be up later. He looks up at you, shaking his head once again and giving your shoulder a pat. Guess you didn't hurt his feelings too much then. However, as he's patting you, his eyes trail to your arms, and then you can practically see the light bulb that pops over his head as he snaps his fingers. He carefully pushes you a few steps back, then turns to face the big-ass hill you fell down with a look of determination in his eyes. He crouches down, then spreads his wings out behind him. They're actually surprisingly majestic, especially for wings that apparently don't let the big guy fly. Then, in a single motion, he flaps his wings downwards while launching himself up, throwing forest debris all over the place, but your eyes are more focused on him. With that extra beat of his wings, he actually managed to jump super high up, grabbing onto one of the tree's bigger, larger branches overhead. Whoa! That was cool! Just like, bye. Your envious wonder quickly fades, though, as you realize he's not stopping. He jumps elegantly from branch to branch, swinging around like some kind of ninja far above your head and way out of your reach. Hey, wait! He stops mid-swing, dangling from both of his left arms as he looks back at you. I can't do that! I can't jump even close to that high! He thinks for a moment, then begins working his way back down to you. With one last mighty swing, he jumps back down to your level, landing with an earth-shaking thud in front of you, yet, despite the height, seeming completely unfazed. He gets up close to you, and despite being nothing but gentle, you can't help but feel slightly intimidated by his size. With him this close, though, you can smell his pollen-like scent clearly. He points to your arm with one hand, then thrusts another fist into the air with a serious look on his face. Then his face softens instantly, and he looks back at you expectantly. What? What does that mean? He ponders for a moment, tapping at his forehead with a finger, seemingly thinking about the best way to convey his meaning. Then he grabs your wrist, bending it up a little, and then lifts it quickly, forcing your arm to imitate the fist pump he just did. As your fist shoots upwards, your magical hand emerges from it without your input. Whoa! Completely caught off guard. So sorry. So sad. The VOD will be up later, so you could just watch that. I'm so sorry, though. Completely caught off guard, you pull your hand back from his grasp and step away from him, shaking that hand as the magical one disappears. How did you... When you look back up at him, his eyes are shining with approval at you. He once again pumps his fist in the air. How did you make me do that? How did you know about my power? He stares at you blankly for a moment. Looks up with his hand on his chin. Then looks at you and shrugs, apparently completely unbothered by this revelation. Do you have powers too? He nods. Can I see them? He thinks for a moment, then shakes his head. Oh, are you even able to use them? He nods, then pauses before shaking his head. After another moment, he shrugs. Alright then. That doesn't explain how you knew about my weird hand. He merely shrugs. I have so many questions right now. As you scratch your head, attempting to organize a storm of thoughts in your head, Mothawk stands in front of you patiently. But, I'm guessing you can't answer any of them, can you? He shakes his head. Alright, so, how do I get out of here? He stares at you for a second, and then thrusts his fist into the air once again. You look back down at your hand, flexing your fingers. You want me to... He nods before you can even finish your thought. Alright, I guess. At his insistence, you retract your arm and throw a punch, making your polygonal hand appear once more. Mothhawk applauds with his 4 hands while the magic hand just floats in between the two of you. You pull your hand back a bit, expecting it to follow with a bit of delay, but it follows your movements perfectly. Huh. That's new. Now that I think about it, I never got the chance to do any practice with it. After experimenting with this change for a bit, you realize that Mothhawk has just been staring at you, clearly waiting for you to finish. Oh, sorry. So, now what? He scans the ground around your feet, his eyes eventually landing on a long branch nearby. He picks it up, then turns and holds it up to you proudly, while pointing at your polygonal hand. You reach and grab it, but before you can, he holds it up, and then makes the same fist pump motion once again, grabbing onto the branch this time. Oh, you want me to use this to grab onto it? He nods enthusiastically, and then holds it out for you to try. You take a deep breath and hold your hands, both normal and magic, up to the branch, palm open, and attempt to grab it. Since you've only ever really used it for fighting, you struggle with finer motions like grabbing. It's definitely going to take you some time to get used to your new hand's new and improved magical extension. But Mothhawk watches patiently and eagerly. After a bit more trial and error, you finally manage to grab it. As soon as it closes around the branch, you can feel the cold and wet sensation in the palm of your empty hand. Mothhawk lets the branch go carefully, and you can feel its weight too, but it's definitely lighter than you think it should be. He claps excitedly for you, praising you as best he can for a job well done, but it doesn't really feel like that major of an accomplishment. With how intense things have been lately, something as simple as grabbing a branch with your magical hand should have been easy, and yet it took you several minutes. You let out a sigh, pushing the thoughts away for now as you experiment once again with the new feeling of holding something with your other hand, until you have at least a slightly better feel for it. Alright, I think I've kinda got it. Now what? He glances between you and the branch suspended in the air, and then approaches you. He brings one of his hands up next to your real hand that's controlling the magic one, makes a show of clenching it into a fist and shaking it a bit to emphasize the grip, staring at you as he does. Do you need to go to horny jail? I think that means keep holding onto it tight. He nods twice. He then walks over to the branch, grabbing either end, and gives it a little push. As your magic hand is pushed back with the branch, your body in turn slides back as well. Just like when Bruce's scarf dragged you before. Whoa. He gives it a tug next, pulling you back into position before staring at you gleefully. Alright, so it's attached to my body. I get it. Mothhawk looks at you and nods, then walks back over to you, once again making the hold on tight gesture. Keep holding on. Got it. He nods, and then grabs your arm with one hand, and then somehow grabs your nearby magic hand with another. You do notice a faint red glow in his outstretched palm, though. He focuses on your distant hand as his grip on you begins to shake a little bit. Suddenly your magic hand begins to slowly move away from you. It feels similar to how Mothhawk pushed you around through the branch before, but his grip holds you in place this time. Whoa, what are you doing? After a bit more distance, he turns back to you and releases his grip on you. You expect your polygonal hand to come back like a rubber band, but it stays in place. Okay, I hear Seabat right now. Like, I do not know why, but I can hear Seabat. Like, it definitely isn't Seabat, but I can just hear it. Ooh, nice. How did you do that? Mothhawk giggles, then flexes one of his arms before nodding to you, probably indicating that he wants you to do it too. You oblige, flexing your arm as well. As expected, the polygonal hand does the same, keeping its new distance from you. Oh, awesome! That didn't affect its responsiveness at all. Aw, he looks so cute. Look at him. Look at him go. He looks so happy. But, how do I bring it back? He holds two hands up, one close to his body and the other further away, using another one of his arms to make sure your attention is on his little charade. He tenses his muscles in the closer arm tightly, so much so that you can see the veins. In response, he pulls the further hand towards the tensed arm. He then relaxes the tension in his arm, once again pushing the other hand back out away from his body. Oh, I get it. That's surprisingly easy, actually. You focus on your polygonal hand and tighten your arm muscles, watching as a hand retracts towards you. When you release the tension, it stops in place. Heh, wow, this thing keeps getting cooler by the second. He applauds, nodding excitedly as you experiment with pushing the hand around by tensing and relaxing your muscles. I guess you could say it's pretty handy, eh? Bad joke. Ha 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 ha. Bad joke. Ha 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 ha. Bad joke. Very bad joke. Funny but bad. Mothawk immediately stops clapping, staring at you and tilting his head. Oh, yeah, I guess you wouldn't really get puns, huh? Don't worry about it. Imagine having a bruh moment. He giggles, presumably at your expression, before turning his attention to his tutorial. He puts his arms back in the last pose they were in, then points to his head with another hand, poking himself in the forehead twice with a finger. He repeats the same motion that he used to teach you how to move your hand around. Wait. Did I do it wrong? I already got that. He pokes himself in the head once more, then points down to his arms. Without applying any attention to his arm, he still brings the other hand in close and pushes it away. He then points to his head once again, repeating the motion over and over again. Oh, I think I get it? Kinda? Hold on. You focus once more on your magic hand and repeat the process of bringing it in close and sending it away with your muscles alone to get a feel for it. Then you try to replicate the sensation in your mind. But nothing happens. You glance over to Mothawk, who looks kind of bummed it didn't work. You are trying to teach me how to do it with my mind, right? He nods. I'm still pretty new when it comes to all of this magic stuff, so I probably just need more practice. He nods again. Oh well, for now this should work, I think. Now what? He points out towards your magic hand, then up towards the branches high above, and one last time pumps his fist in the air. Oh, so you want me to... Okay, I get it. Mothawk nods. Should I go first, or... Mothawk nods, eagerly gesturing towards you as if to say, yeah, go ahead. Hiya. Alright then. That was loud. You take a deep breath, rhythmically flexing your fingers as you mentally prepare for the task ahead. Looking up, you scan over the branches above you, finding a good place to start. In doing so, you see the trail your painful tumble left along the face of the hill, wincing as the dull, full-body ache lightly resurges as the memories floods back into your head. As nice as it would be to just walk back up, with the hill being covered entirely in wet grass and muddy dirt, you'd no doubt gouge another painful trail down the face before getting anywhere. The trees are even too far apart to properly use as points to grab onto. On the other hand, the tree's branches definitely are close enough together, and they look strong enough. You figure if they were strong enough to hold Mothawk, then you would be good. Alright, here goes nothing. I just noticed that Mothawk has nipples. Like, I literally just noticed that. You flex and extend your hand, and the polygonal hand appearing once more, while your eyes zero in on a branch that seems just low enough for you to grab. You raise your arm up towards it, the polygonal hand following your movements exactly as you reach. Mothawk watches your every motion with proud, expectant eyes, like a parent eagerly watching their child take their first steps. It's a bit embarrassing, but empowering at the same time. There's no way you can let the big lug down. However, even with your arm fully extended, you're still a couple meters shy of the polygonal hand actually reaching the branches. Alright, focus. You tighten the muscles in your arm, pushing your magical appendage further out, until it eventually collides with the branches above. The sensation of bark and leaves dance along the back of your hand, confirming once again that you can sort of feel through it. This thing really is impressive. I wonder what else it can do. Actually, now that I think about it... Hey, Mothawk. Mothawk's attention, which had followed your magic hand up to the branches, quickly turns back to you. Before now, my magical hand wasn't this responsive. There used to be a little delay, and I definitely couldn't feel anything with it either. Did you do something to it? Mothawk gives you a puzzled look, eyes drifting upwards as a hand comes up to his chin, making a prolonged, barely audible humming noise as he thinks. Then he shrugs. Of course. Whatever. One thing at a time, Chad. Focus on getting out of here first. You quickly shrug it off, returning your attention back to the branches above, and to your hand that's lightly resting on them. Flexing your fingers one final time, you mime grabbing the branches with your normal hand, and the magical one mirrors you perfectly, gripping on tight. Nice. The tension in your arm falters for a moment as you admire your handiwork, and before you know it... Whoa! Bye, Chad. Your whole body lifts off the ground, being pulled upwards by some mysterious force towards your magic hand. I'm not ready yet! How do I... In a panic, you harshly tighten the muscles in your arm once again. You quickly return back to the ground, but are going so fast from the uncontrolled descent that you lose your balance. Before your butt finds its way to the floor, Mothawk scoops you up with all four arms, sparing your poor behind for more damage. The suddenness of it all causes your focus to slip far enough that your polygonal hand fades away. Thank you, Mothawk. Your face heats up a bit as he holds you close, his now familiar scent once again flooding your nose, and you shyly look away, which seems to amuse him. Mothawk giggles a bit and gently puts you back on your feet. It's actually a lot harder than I thought it'd be. Mothawk looks at you and tilts his head. Then again, I suppose lifting myself off the ground is a lot different than just holding a branch out. Huh. He nods, patting you on the shoulder with one hand and giving a thumbs up with another. Well, if anything, his enthusiasm certainly is infectious. Alright, let's give this another shot. Could you, help if my ass tries to find the ground again? Mothawk tilts his head. What? You don't know what an ass? Mothawk just looks at you, not sure what you mean. Just please try to grab me again if I fall. Mothawk nods at you happily. Man, I get the feeling I'd suck at taking care of kids. Here's hoping Ginny doesn't plan to open a daycare. Alright, here I go. You repeat the earlier process again, manifesting your magic hand and extending it up to the branches once again. After a bit of hesitation, making sure you found a sturdy one, you grab on. Taking a deep breath to mentally prepare, you slowly tighten your arm just a tiny bit, eventually lifting yourself off the ground by just a few centimeters. You take a moment to appreciate the feeling. With how dim the sensation of holding on to the branches through your hand, it really does feel like you're just floating. It's a weird feeling. After you've had your brief moment to acclimate yourself, you release the tension and carefully lower yourself back to the ground. When your feet touch the ground again, Mothawk applauds your progress. Nice! I definitely think I've got it this time. Mothawk nods eagerly, looking like he's about to burst from excitement and pride. It's funny to watch him act like a proud parent when he himself is such bountiful childlike innocence. He doesn't know what an ass is. With one last smirk and a nod towards him, you turn your attention back up to the branch once more, tightening your arm a bit more this time, and lifting yourself up further than before. Alright, so, if I do it like this... You start alternating between tightening your arm and relaxing it, bouncing yourself up and down repeatedly, finding yourself laughing giddily as you amuse yourself. After a few moments of this, you turn your attention back to Mothawk, giving him an enthusiastic thumbs up with your free hand. Oh yeah, I definitely think I've got the hang of this now. It's actually pretty fun. Reminds me of playing a new video game, and you just mash all the buttons to see what they all do, and... Before you even realize it, your grip begins to loosen on the branch, and you find yourself plummeting back to the ground, which Mothawk dutifully saves you from. By this time, you look By the time you look up, your magic hand has already vanished. Mothawk gently places you on your feet once more, patting your shoulders with a gentle expression. Actually, he might just be pitying your incredibly frail focus. Sorry, I shouldn't be messing around. I'll be more careful. Mothawk giggles with a nod. Alright, I think I'm ready to do this for real now. Though, could you go first? Mothawk tilts his head. That way, I can see which branches are strong enough. I just want to follow your lead to know which are the safest to hang from. Don't worry, I don't think I'm going to fall anymore. Mothawk understands and nods happily. Mothawk gently pushes you aside, then turns his attention upwards, scanning around for a moment. Once he locates his preferred starting point, he fans his wings out and crouches down. Just don't get too far ahead. Completely ignoring you, Mothawk launches himself upwards with a mighty beat of his wings, quickly making his way across the branches. Hey! Wait up! You summon your hand, swiftly reattaching to the branch he first grabbed onto above. However, even in the short time it took you to do that much, Mothawk's already gotten far ahead of you, swinging from branch to branch with surprising ease. Worried that you're about to be left behind, you pull yourself up as fast as you can, eventually managing to grab onto the branch with your other hand. Damn it, Mothawk! I said wait up! Maintaining your grip with your real hand, you reach out for the next branch with your magic hand and grab on tight. You release your real grip on the first branch, inevitably swinging forward as you maintain your magic hand's grip. Your feet come dangerously close to touching the slope, but a minor adjustment in your height prevents that. Once you manage to slow your swinging down enough, you retract yourself up all the way, once again grabbing on with both hands. Damn it, that's not nearly as easy as just pulling myself straight up. Man, I'm really glad I'm as in shape as I am. There's no way I would have been able to do this before. Silver lining to losing 10 years, I guess? Holding from this branch, you look up to see where Mothawk went, but you can't see any sign of him. If you listen, though, you can still hear him swinging far ahead of you. You let out a sigh, then inhale deeply. Mothawk! I guess I should hurry. Once again, you aim your polygonal hand to the next branch and grab it, this time tightening your arm before releasing your hand from the branch so you don't swing that much. You safely got to grab the other branch with your other hand, far more smoothly than last time. Quicker, too, which is definitely a plus right now. Why do I need to prepare? I'm scared. Do I need a sensor, or I don't think I need a sensor. I should be safe. With each and every time you pull and retract yourself, it becomes easier. You're almost getting used to it by now. You continue to follow Mothawk as best you can, each cycle getting easier than the last. After a few minutes, you finally begin to see the top of the slope, and if the broken branches, deformed bushes, and flattened grass below your feet are any indication, you're fairly close to where you first fell down. You continue your ascent, getting closer and closer to the top, until... The same screech you heard earlier now is coming from where you were heading. You instantly freeze in place, breath hitching in your throat, and a cold sweat forming along your forehead. But before the fear paralyzes you, you remember your new friend. Oh shit, Mothawk! You pick up your pace, clumsily scrambling up the last few branches towards the top of the slope, not even bothering to slow your last swing before releasing your grip and dismissing your magic hand. Your feet hit the ground hard, and you have to run with your momentum for a few steps before coming to a full stop, panting and covered in sweat as your eyes scan your surroundings. I can do that too. Damn it! Why the hell is it still around? In the distance, you can make out the sounds of trees snapping and leaves rustling frantically, as if a desperate struggle was happening just out of your view. You waste no time in dashing off towards the sounds, praying that Mothawk isn't involved, and ignoring the fact that the options are fairly limited. Nyaa! Ah! It is fun making random sounds. But yes, I did just nyaa. Your mad dash through the bushes and between trees comes to a screeching halt as you find the source of the noise, your entire body freezing in place by what you witness. Ah! Ah! Who is that bitch and what is he doing to Mothok? Actually, bitch, can you give me your pronouns? Because I want to insult you, but I want to do it correctly. So, can I get your pronouns? A massive creature that with arms that glow like fire has Mothok pinned to the ground. It looks like its body is covered in long, bony protrusions. Thing's face is no different. Use they, them. They need to get the fuck off of Mothok. Making it look like it's wearing a skull mask, traits you only notice when another screech pulls your attention to its head. It's frantically flailing its arms at Mothok, slashing with long, sharp claws with Mothok narrowly able to avoid or block each one, even with his 4 powerful arms. Mothok! The moment your voice calls out, it immediately pulls both of their attention to you, with the creature instantly ceasing its furious attack. Mothok, however, only momentarily glances back at you. That momentary distraction was just what the Mothman needed, it seemed, as he reared back and punched the skull-faced monster as hard as he could with both of his left arms, kicking it away. The monster flew back surprisingly far, deflecting off a tree stump and falling into some bushes. Before you're even able to start running to Mothok's side, he's already back up on his feet. Mothok, are you... You're silenced as he breaks into a sprint towards you, one of his hands snagging yours as he passes by you, dragging you back the way you came into the woods. You stumble at first, but quickly manage to get your bearings back. Careful. You weren't even able to make it more than a few steps before looking back over your shoulder and spotting the monster lunging directly at you in Mothok. What was that? Your body moves on impulse, kicking yourself forward and tackling Mothok to the ground with as much strength as your exhausted legs can muster. Thankfully, it's enough, as you both collapse to the ground just as a massive form flies past you just above your head. Mothok helps you both stand back up, making himself into a barrier between you and the monster as you both slowly step away from it. Oh, hi, friend. You look like an SCP. You're both panting heavily and your heart is racing in your chest. If the thumping in Mothok's hand, still tightly wrapped around yours, is any indication, you're not alone either. With a gulp, you watch the monster as its head bounces rhythmically up and down ever so slightly, almost like it's sniffing the air. Is it trying to track you by scent? It can smell you, Chad. And it smells a bottom. What do we do? The complete lack of response from Mothok sends a chill down your spine. You're fighting hard against your body to keep it from succumbing to the fear. Just using that nose of his, completely skipping past Mothok, and just... Smells like a bottom. With barely a second's warning, the creature crouches down and splays its claws back out. Mothok tenses, putting his arms back up in front of himself. Stinky or bottom? I think it's stinky because the word stinky got me suspended from TikTok Live. Seriously, right in front of your salad. Before you can even react, it lunges once again, slamming into Mothok with such force that it sends them both flying back into you, which knocks you onto the ground in turn. After shaking your head to stave off some encroaching dizziness, you look back to the fighting pair to see that Mothok had somehow grabbed both of the creature's wrists with his lower pair of hands. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It screeches even louder than before, writhing and violently trying to jerk its hands out of Mothok's grip, to no avail. Mothok, hang on! You scramble back to your feet, snatching up a hefty branch as you try your best to steady your breathing. Ignoring you, the monster's jaw opens, baring sharp teeth at Mothawk for just a moment before lunging forward, attempting to clamp down on his neck. He barely manages to grab it around the throat with his other pair of hands, stopping its bite from landing. The legs are just dangling. As you clear the distance to the pair, the monster continues frantically snapping its jaw towards Mothawk, who is once again barely able to hold it off. Once you're only a few meters away, the monster's furious biting stops, almost like it managed to latch onto something. It begins to violently jerk its head back and forth like a rabid dog trying to snap the neck of its fresh catch. You ignore the motion, instead slamming the branch against the monster's face. Mothawk releases his grip at the same time, and as a branch snaps in half, the monster tumbles off of Mothawk, rolling a few feet away. You drop the broken, useless branch to the ground as you help Mothawk to his feet. Come on, we have to run! To your surprise, Mothawk shakes his head. What? What do you mean no? What the hell are we supposed to do then? The monster stands back up, and despite the massive blow to its head, it seems completely unaffected. All you really managed to do was knock it away. Mothawk looks at you and motions for you to do a punch. You think that would work against that huge thing? Mothawk doesn't answer, keeping his focus glued to the monster as it slowly prowls in front of you, a low growl following its every step, clearly ready to lunge once again at a moment's notice. Damn it! Alright, fine. Here goes nothing. With a slight pivot of its foot, the monster turns to face you fully and lunges, but thankfully you both had enough time to sidestep the attack. Nearly the moment it touches the ground, it spins around and lunges again. As you and Mothawk dodge once more, you follow up with a punch, manifesting your magic hand, which barely manages to nick its foot as it passes by. Unsurprisingly, it barely even acknowledges the hit, though you could feel a surprising amount of warmth along your knuckles when you connected. Damn it. I should have known that wouldn't work. We're really running out of options here. Damn it, Chad, think! The monster lets out another shriek as it prepares to attack a third time, but before it can, the steep hill behind you flashes through your mind. Wait! Mothawk, I think I've got an idea. Mothawk looks at you expectantly, a flash of hope passing his face as he does. It's not perfect, but at least it's something. Come on, follow me. Mothawk nods and you both begin backing up towards the cliff, with the monster in hot pursuit. Realization flashes across Mothawk's face as you get close. Dodge him, just like we did before, alright? Mothawk nods once again, confirming he understands your plan as you reach the slope, which thankfully only took a couple seconds. Alright, get ready. As the monster prepares to lunge once again, and to make sure it's a good one, you summon your magic hand and motion with the other to antagonize it. Come at me, you big ugly bitch! It's hard to tell if the thing is even cognizant enough to be antagonized, but still, it works at least well enough to see it lunging at you with all its might. As it does, and Mothawk dives to the side, you spin on your heel and leap off the edge. Yo! That is epic! Thrusting your magic hand out, you manage to latch onto a branch above, swinging outwards away from the slope while the monster falls below you. However, just when you think you're in the clear, it manages to grab onto your foot. Ah! Its touch burns your skin like fire, but despite the pain, you manage to cling to the branch with all your might. Yo, are we gonna get fired? The added weight, however, is straining the branch above, causing it to audibly crack and begin to give way. You start frantically kicking at its hand with your other foot, while the monster simultaneously claws at you with its free hand. All the while, the burning on your foot grows more and more painful. Get off of me, you bastard! Suddenly, something below you catches the monster's attention, so much so that it miraculously releases your foot, falling down the slope and tumbling down it. Even though it's let go, your foot continues to burn. The monster makes an even more violent descent than you did, with snapping wood and rustling leaves crying out in a painful cacophony below you. You can't see it though, as the brush is too thick. You let out a long, relieved sigh, then peek over your shoulder to the cliff, spotting Mothawk waving at you from the edge. Carefully, you get yourself swinging again to leap back. Once you've gotten enough momentum, you let yourself go. Placing your trust in Mothawk as expected, he gently catches you, wrapping you up in all four arms. I don't know. I am kind of curious, though. Same. I am also curious. I can't believe that worked! Despite your joyous, proud laughter, Mothawk's expression is dense with worry, and he carries you to a soft patch of leaves and sets you down on them. Then, he crosses his arms and glares at you like a disappointed parent. Your laughing fit quickly fades away and you awkwardly look away. Ashamed. I know. But I mean, it's not like we had many other options, right? He looks at you for a moment, then slumps a bit with what looks like a sigh, probably admitting you're right. Anyway, we should probably get out of here. I'm certain that's not going to keep that damn monster out of our hair for long. Mothok nods, moving to help you back to your feet, but you get up on your own. At least, you try to, but the moment you put that burnt foot down, a searing pain cuts through you and you fall back to the ground. Ow! What the hell did that thing do to me? There's no way I can walk on this. Mothok, can you... Before you can even finish asking your question, Mothok has already crouched down, motioning for you to climb up onto his back for a piggyback ride. You let out a small chuckle and you manage to clamber up onto his big, broad back with a little help. He wraps his lower arms around your legs while you wrap your arms around his fluffy neck. You said you know a way out of this forest, right? Mothok nods. Alright, let's be quick then. I don't want to spend one more minute here. I'll keep an eye out, so you just focus on getting us out of here, alright? He nods again, and without another word, not like there could be with him, he starts making his way through the bushes, once again carrying you back up the mountain. It's not long before you inevitably realize that you're still going up the mountain, not down. Wait! One of Mothok's antenna twitches and antenna twitches and he turns his head slightly to look at you. Where exactly are we going? You don't get very much of a response. Okay, let me rephrase that question. You're taking me somewhere out of the forest, right? Mothok shakes his head. Your eyes go wide, your grip tightening on him somewhat unconsciously. Wait, but weren't you taking me... Your frantic question is cut short when you're struck with the realization. Actually, I did say I wanted to take him back to his mom, didn't I? Maybe he's been meaning that she can show me how to get out of here. Yeah, that must be it. But, isn't this the way I came before? I don't remember seeing a house or anything around the lake. Not like I really had the chance to look for one. I remember now. You're taking me to your mom, right? Mothok nods, and you're relieved that you were worrying for nothing. That relief quickly turns into panic when you realize that if that thing dove into the water earlier was a monster, it definitely wasn't the one you just fought, since it wasn't wet at all. I hope she's okay. You unconsciously mutter that under your breath, and instantly, Mothok's grip on you tightens. He picks up his pace, breaking into a jog, and you feel a pang of guilt. Whoa there, settle down, Mothok. I didn't mean to scare you. I'm sure that even if a monster got to her, if she's tough enough to take care of you, then she could probably beat it up all by herself, no sweat. Mothok continues to run for a bit, but seemingly after pondering your words, slows down a bit, nodding with a little relieved contemplative hum. Ooh, close one. I need to watch what I say. I definitely recognize this area, though. We're getting closer to that Mothok stops instantly, and you can feel his heart rate skyrocket as a cold sweat forms on his face. You're in a similar boat, clinging tighter to him with hitched breath as a screech rings in your ears. No way! There was another one! I just thought the different screeches were from the same monster. No wonder Fred was so adamant that I run away. Wait. Oh no. Fred! Almost in response to your panic exclamation, Mothok breaks into a full-on sprint, dashing through the trees at a breakneck pace. Mothok and I could barely shake one together. What if Fred's been fighting one all by himself this entire time? Damn it! I knew I shouldn't have left him behind, that goddamn idiot! You do your best to try and stifle the growing pain in your chest, but considering the circumstances, it's not easy. As you get closer to the edge of the forest by the lake, you can hear the telltale signs of someone in a fight, just like when Mothok and the monster were scuffling before. Your heart immediately sinks. Mothok, wait. He stops in his tracks, waiting for your follow-up, but keeping his eyes focused ahead. A friend of mine might be up ahead, and he might need my help. It's too dangerous for you to keep getting involved, so... Before you can finish, he interrupts you with a firm shake of his head, glancing back at you with a confident look in his eyes. I had a feeling that would be the case. Though I suppose it's for the best. I'd probably just end up dying for nothing with my messed up foot. Mothok nods at you and gives you a thumbs up. Despite the guilt you feel over constantly involving the poor guy in these dangerous situations, you're relieved to have him at your side. You'd be lying if you said you didn't hope for this, to be honest. As dangerous as it is for the big guy, you'd definitely be up shit creek without a paddle without his constant aid. Alright, well, we have the element of surprise, which is turning out to be quite rare for me today, so let's use it to our advantage. Let's just sneak up to the edge of the trees first and see if it's even my friend. Could just as easily be a monster rampaging by itself. If that's the case, we just go, okay? Mothok nods and turns his attention back to the front, oozing with confidence, though you can still feel him subtly shaking. Carefully, he carries you forward at a brisk walk, both of your heads on a swivel to make sure you don't get blindsided by anything hiding amongst the trees and bushes. Once you reach the opening in the trees, back to the lake clearing, Mothok positions himself behind a dense bush, crouching down and peeking out. It takes a moment for your eyes to adjust to the light, but once they do, you spot Fred standing dead center in the clearing, his stance rigid and prepared. As much as you hate to admit it, it's clearly a fighting stance. His ears are perked and narrow. His ears are perked and his eyes narrowed as he scans his surroundings. His fur bristled as he turns with slow, measured steps, ready to move at a moment's notice. He's surrounded by roots and branches, all broken apart and torn to shreds, almost like an entire tree had exploded directly on top of him, but the roots are seemingly erupting from cracks in the ground. Oh wow! That is something. Suddenly, something big lunges directly at him from some brush behind him, but his ears flick in response to the sound, and within a fraction of a second, he leaps to the side, causing the monster to claw violently at the air before slamming into the dirt. Wasting no time, it uses its forward momentum to roll forward, spinning around as it does, and leaping in for another attack with a gurgling growl. Expecting Fred to dodge again and ready to tell Mothok to rush in, you watch in horror as Fred merely stands there. Instead, he dips down and back a bit, then swiftly swings his whole body forward and up, led by an open palm. Nearing the motion, a dense wall of vines erupt from the earth below the monster. They coil around it, and as Fred clasps his hands into a tight fist, they clamp down on the creature, instantly hardening and capturing it mid-leap. Time to be Fred's Harley Quinn. What the hell? His first natural cage wasn't strong enough, apparently, and the monster is able to quickly break free. But a repeat of his previous motion with his other hand sees it captured once again with a fresh set of roots. Before it can fight against these new restraints, Fred jumps to the side, strafing around it with a series of hops. Each time his feet touch the ground, another swing of his arms, and even his legs introduce more and more roots. When he returns to the point he initially started, Fred slams his fist to the ground, to which the roots retract violently, pinning the monster to the earth under a wooden net. No way! Fred has powers too? As Fred looks up at his handiwork, panting but keeping his hand firmly placed on the ground, the monster fights hard against its restraints. Fred's eyes grow wide as the roots begin to give, and he frantically slams his other hand to the ground, even more roots shooting out from around the monster and holding it down. Stay down, damn it! Miraculously, the second layer seems to work, and despite the monster struggling, they hold. The tension in Fred's arms relaxes, and he slumps forward a bit, panting even heavier than before. Well, it, looks like he's got this handled. He's that friend I was talking about, Mothok. Let's go see him. We'll probably be safer around him. Mothok, eyes still wide and shimmering with awe, nods slowly, getting to his feet. He carefully walks around the bush you were both hiding behind, slowly making his way out of the cover of the trees towards Fred, whose attention is too focused at the ground to notice your approach. Fred! Fred jumps, eyes dangerously wide as his head snaps upwards towards you. Though you expected his gaze to soften upon seeing you, his panic only seems to worsen. Chad? What the hell are you doing here? His eyes remain locked on yours, not even acknowledging Mothok as the big moth carries you closer, with Fred slowly getting to his feet as you near. Eventually, you're both standing face to face a few meters apart, next to the writhing monster. That was you, wasn't it? You have powers too, don't you? He winces as you ask the question, almost like he was clinging onto some vain hope that, somehow, you wouldn't have put two and two together. Now, though, he merely looks away in shame. Damn it! I told you to run! Why did you come back? Answer me, goddammit! I'm sick of you dancing around the issue. Fred flinches backwards when you yell at him, once again looking away, ashamed. Mothok seems to recede into himself, awkwardly glancing back and forth between you and the painful silence, clearly not really sure what to do. Shouldn't it be obvious by now? Fred, As Malthok starts to close a short distance between you, a loud cracking noise sounds out from beside you on the ground. Shit! Look out! Without warning, the monster erupts from the earth, spinning with its claws outstretched like a drill, and aiming directly at you and Malthok. Fred swings his foot wide, trailing it along the ground. In response, a root lunges from the earth next to Malthok's feet, cutting them out from underneath him and flooring you both, right as the monster arcs overhead, drilling straight through a nearby tree and back into the ground. Fred maintains his spin, making a motion as if he was pulling something back as he turns to face you both again. A bed of roots and vines surges up from beneath you and Malthok, and with a shove sends you both flying over towards Fred. Pay attention, both of you. If it could break out of my grasp just like that. As Fred speaks, Malthok shakes the slight daze away and stands back up. Then imagine how easily it could kill you. Malthok turns to you, picking you up once again, and getting you on his back. You, big guy. Malthok perks up and looks towards him, finding his attention focused on the ground as he slowly trails his hand through the dirt, though for a brief moment he glances up at Malthok. Can you run while holding Chad? Malthok nods firmly and confidently. Good. Then, when I say so, run towards the lake. A tense silence follows as Fred's attention returns to the ground, almost like he's scanning the area through the dirt. Now! Dutifully, Malthok instantly breaks into a sprint toward the lake. Only a few steps in, you can hear the distinct sound of something tearing through the ground behind you. As the drilling monster bursts out of the earth once again, Fred uses another kick to cut Malthok's feet out from beneath him, sending you both sprawling on the ground. Monster sails overhead once again as you are dragged back towards Fred. The monster slams into the water with a mighty splash, somehow managing to stop its wild spinning and landing on its feet a few meters from shore, spinning around to launch another assault almost instantly. With a mighty uppercut, Fred summons numerous kelp leaves up from the bottom of the lake, which wrap tightly around the monster's arms. A series of punches and kicks calls more and more kelp up, grabbing onto the monster all over its body. With another high kick followed by a punch, roots and vines emerge from the ground as well, lifting the monster straight up above the lake and holding it tightly in place. A heads up would have been nice. I don't appreciate being bait without my knowledge, Fred. Fred stomps the ground, causing more vines to push Malthok back to his feet, and with you still tightly wrapped in his arms. Fred lets out a soft, relieved sigh, the tension in his muscles settling somewhat. Sorry, there wasn't enough time. But hey, thanks for listening to me anyway, big guy. Fred holds his fist in front of Malthok, who stares at it quizzically for a moment before looking back up to Fred with a curious tilt of his head. No? Okay then. After scratching awkwardly at his cheek, Fred lowers his arm back to his side with another sigh, this time more deflated. You consider explaining Malthok's confusion to him, but you have something else much higher on your priority list right now. Alright, Fred, can you please explain to me what the hell is going on? Your question is punctuated by the monster screeching behind you, fighting desperately against its restraints, but these ones hold firm. For now, at least. Wait, Chad. And can you please explain what are those things that are attacking us? Or what I'm even doing here to begin with? Can you... Chad. Fred's shout cuts you off, grabbing your arm firmly and squeezing. The sudden act startles you back to your senses, as if piercing through a foggy haze of anger that had been steadily clouding your thoughts. Chad, calm down. Look, I'm here for you, alright? Just relax for now. I won't let anything happen to you, okay? Fred looks directly into your eyes and gives you a warm, almost pleading smile. A strange pressure pushes against the back of your head, burning through your mind like a vengeful fire. Fighting against the urge to bare your fangs and yell more, you shake your head, stifling that anger down to just a sharp glare directed at Fred. Fine. Do you at least think that thing's not going to attack us anymore? Seeing as we were already attacked by another one, and only managed to get it off our backs by sending it down a slope. Something in my gut tells me that that's not going to keep it off our tails for long, and I'd really rather not have to deal with two at once. Fred goes to respond, a look of wide-eyed shock on his face, but he's cut off by the monster screeching once again. The shock quickly fades to irritation, and without looking, he flicks a finger at the monster's direction, causing more kelp to reach up and wrap tightly around its muzzle, shutting it up. It should hold long enough until Bruce can take care of it. Upon hearing that name, that burning rage reignites with such fervor that before you even have a chance to process it, your mouth is open. Bruce? Are we seriously going to wait for that asshole to come and try and kill us again? Yeah, obviously Bruce knows, but does Jenny know? No, it was just a misunderstanding. What kind of fucking misunderstanding justifies him trying to kill us, Fred? This blind optimism is really starting to piss me off. Fred pauses for a moment, then lets out a long sigh. Just trust me. Please. As long as I keep both you and the big guy here safe, we'll be fine. And everything will work out. But, anyways, I noticed your foot's all messed up. What exactly happened there? You pause, taken aback by this whiplash-inducing change of subject. The angry flame in your head roars, but before you can speak, a tight yet subtle squeeze from Mothok somehow calms it. You blink a couple times, your brain taking a moment to hard reset and leaving you a bit befuddled. If it's something you don't want to talk about, then don't worry about it, buddy. Fred's voice pierces through the haze, snapping you back to reality. The other monster we fought did it to me. Fred raises a brow, clearly not satisfied with that incredibly vague answer. Just your foot, though? You look down at your hand, hesitating as you flex your fingers. Mothok gives you a gentle stare, nodding slowly and assuringly before punching the air, a clear sign to you at this point. It was because I was hanging from a branch using this, and it grabbed onto my foot when it missed its lunge. You throw a punch in the air and your polygonal hand emerges. Fred just looks at you with a blank expression. My voice cracked. You definitely expected more of a reaction out of him. Yeah, I was afraid of that. What do you mean? Is that seriously the only reaction I get from having a magical third hand? Fred shakes his head with yet another sigh, scratching at his cheek once again. Because it just confirms a hunch I had that I really wish was just a hunch. You've got to be more careful where you use that, Chad. Oh, we have a lot to talk about. Yep, we sure do, buddy. Mothok listens to your conversation quietly and even somewhat peacefully, seeming quite content with himself as you both speak. Anyway, I suppose that covers how you got hurt. Kind of. But, you definitely left here alone. Where did you meet this big guy? What's your name, by the way? Mothok blushes and looks back at you shyly, while Fred glances back towards the monster to make sure it's still held firmly in place. Mothok. His name's Mothok. Mothok, huh? Mothok nods. Well, nice to meet you, Mothok. And thank you for keeping Chad here safe. Hopefully he didn't give you too much trouble. Fred hesitantly extends a hand for a handshake, though once again, Mothok looks puzzled by the action, causing Fred's ears to droop once again. Thankfully, this time, you're in a better position to help. He wants to shake your hand, Mothok. It's a sign of friendship and respect. Like this. You slip your magic hand into Fred's and give it a shake, which amuses him somewhat as he plays along with it, shaking back. After that, you dismiss the hand and turn your attention back to Mothok. Alrighty, now you try. Mothok carefully extends an arm, gently grabbing Fred's hand and shaking it. Fred finally perks up a bit, and smiling and shaking back. But as his eyes drift down to Mothok's wrist, he makes a weird face, though quickly shakes it off. There we go, buddy. Good job. Mothok blushes a bit, pulling his hand back and getting all shy again, though it's clear he's happy to have met yet another friend. The peaceful moment, however, is interrupted by the sound of the monster writhing hard behind you, returning your attention to it. We should probably do something about this thing before we get too sidetracked again. Running's definitely not an option. They're definitely faster than us. Fred pokes his forehead, racking his brain about the best course of action. After a bit, he nods, turning his attention back to the suspended monster by the lake. Alright. You follow Fred's eyes to the monster once again, seeing it still fighting hard against its bindings, then turn your attention back to him. If what you told me is true, and if I'm right, then I think there are 3. This one, the one you fought and sent down the mountain, and the last one is probably... Fred turns his attention back towards the dense forest, with Bruce in the same direction he went. Fred's attention turns back to you and Mothok, a deathly serious look in his eyes. With all that in mind, here's what we're going to do. Right as Fred opened his mouth to explain his plan, a distinctive snapping sound echoes out from behind you, followed immediately by a deafening screech. Though this one was different. As you cover your ears, the shriek echoes out into the forest, rattling nature itself as it pierces through the air. You look back towards the monster, seeing that it stopped writhing against its spines, but it somehow managed to free its muzzle, the snapped vines falling into the water below it. What was Another, different shriek from the opposite direction of the one behind you answers the cry. Within the blink of an eye, a third, smaller monster is standing next to the vine, suspending the second in the air. You didn't even hear it approach. We're gonna leave off here tonight. Unless there's, like, not too much left in the update, but I think there might be a lot more left in the update. Holy shit. Oh, okay. Seriously, though, like, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Mothok's nipples. Once you see them, you can't unsee them. Everything is deathly silent as this new monster flexes its claws, slashing away Fred's vines with ease. The motion was so fast you could barely even see it. Your breath hitches in your throat as a fresh, bone-chilling terror paralyzes you. You're clearly not the only one either, as Mothok's body is shaking and there's no response from Fred at all. Toe beans. As the vines crumble away, the smaller monster turns ever so slightly and looks back at you, a purple glint shimmering out of its eye. Every fiber of your being is screaming at you. Screaming at you to run. But no matter how loud that voice screams, it won't change the fact that you know that you can't. To be continued. Thank God you said something. Wait, I did save there, right? Yeah, I did. I did. Yo! It must have been a nightmare, but it's so good. It's so good. Ah! Ah! Check something real quick. Ah! I know! What the hell is extra content? Click that. Huh. Neat. Ah. Okay. Well, it's really neat. And I cannot wait for the next update. Ah. Well, the VOD is up. Or it should be as soon as I hit end. It'll be up on here, and then tomorrow it'll be up on YouTube. But yeah, sad. Anyways, I'm gonna head off, so stay safe, have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow.